going on, Facebook? How are y'all doing? What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm so excited to be here. Like some of y'all already may know, my name is Dr. Kojo, or Kojo as I prefer. Checking in from what's been a pretty sunny day here in Los Angeles, California. We're going to be talking about what life with undiagnosed ADHD can look like, right? This is going to be more of a discussion. But before we get into it, I'm going to go ahead and drop my little blurb on here. Go ahead and use the comment section to let me know where you're checking in from, what your name is, and let's go ahead and get this thing going. So I'm super excited to have this live stream. I'm a little bit disappointed, and it's not anybody's fault in particular, but we were going to have a special guest on this live stream, a couple. They were going to talk about their experiences with ADHD and so on and so forth. But we were able to get that in, and that's fine because things happen. But we'll get them in eventually. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to talk about. Kobe, what's going on, my guy? Kobe, I've been doing better in Madden. I think I should mention that. Jessica from Fairview, Kansas. Jessica in the house. What's going on? We got Jody. What's up from Baltimore, Maryland. We got Tina Campbell from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. What's up? We got Jayote. That's a nice name. Jayote. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then we have Kendra. What's up? I'm excited to get into it. And this is going to be a discussion, like I said, life with undiagnosed ADHD. And all right, okay. So before we get into the stream, let me just say this. So this is good. This is good that you got the notification today. I spent a lot of time last week, more time than I wanted to, trying to work out the bugs and trying to figure out why people were not getting notifications. And we weren't even able to go live again last week. It just was a disaster. But, you know, looking at the bright side of things, looks like the notifications are coming in. So that's really good news. We have Michelle from Wagga Wagga, Australia. Well, I didn't know that was a real city, but I like the name of that. Wagga 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 Wagga. Wagga 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 Wagga. Arkansas in the house. Monica, what's going on? Monica Winberry. Keys Vidal from Canandaigua, New York. What's up? Thank you for coming through. Angie from Helena, Montana. Chris from Georgia. And Kobe says, LOL, time for the next one. And I still got it. Oh, yeah, for sure. Send an email to my guys. Hello, finally got a notification. Hey, like y'all are making my day. Like the best way to make my day right now is for everybody to come out here and say, oh, I got a notification or whatever. Because like we were going back and forth with Facebook to try and figure this thing out. And I'm not a tech guy. So, you know, anything that I'm able to do, I'm proud of it. Jayote from Edmonton, Canada. Okay, I got some friends out there, and I think that's in Alberta. Caitlin from Westchester, New York. Caitlin, welcome to the stream. Kenneth, Sharon. Okay, Sharon. We got Rhode Island in the house, coming in and then leaving immediately because I forgot why I came in here. They're coming back because I remember I have ADHD. So, Nicole, we're going to give you the first love of the show. Love the show to Nicole. And we give love to shows whenever we're trying to acknowledge somebody who has done something extraordinary. This is extraordinary. And speaking of ADHD, there's a reason why my guitar is in the back right there. Because I pay for guitar lessons and I go and I'm working on my guitar playing. But if I don't keep the guitar in plain sight, I can't remember to play the guitar. Literally, if I put it in the case, I'll go to lessons next week and then I wouldn't have touched the guitar. And I do think that that's an ADHD thing. I don't know if taking meds helps out with that or not. I just have to kind of keep it right there so I can see it. But for me, that's definitely an ADHD thing. Mariella from you're saying hi. I don't know if you're from Hawaii or you're saying hi, but I think you're saying hi. Aaron from the Philippines. Mariella's from Miami. What's going on? How you doing? Sydney, Australia, formerly Canada. Did you move to Australia? Brett just moved without letting anybody know. Not that you have to check in with us. Nicole, you're welcome out here. West Virginia. No, I'll come out there and I'll try and run for the governor of West Virginia. It's an inside joke between Kobe and I. Pennsylvania, I did not get a notification scrolling and caught you. Okay, all right, so we're still working on trying to fix the we're still working on trying to fix it, Kendra, but I'll take the small wins. And just like I said, the most relatable. No, that's hella relatable, you know. Oh boy. Dallas in the house, Fort Pierce, Florida in the house, Florida in the house. Dacula, Georgia. Hey, Ebony, what's up? Here to see what you're gonna enlighten me with. I think my daughter has ADHD. Well, Ebony, do you have it? That could be a sign. I'm not diagnosing. I don't even know you, but that could be a sign that maybe I might want to look into that. What's up? I'm undiagnosed because my Hispanic mom refused to let the doctors give me medication. Now, 26, learning how I grew up around domestic violence. Sorry to hear that, by the way. I'm 99% sure I have ADHD. This is pretty damn strong. The 1% of you that thinks that you don't have it, where's that coming from? I do know this is my superpower. So, Joseph Fox, that's how I have to look at it too. I have to look at it from that perspective because, like, I have it, it's not going anywhere, and we have to, we gotta make the most of it. New York in the house, Brett. That's awesome. I'm happy that you're in Australia and enjoying it. Philippines in the house. Yeah, love of the show. Oh yeah, that wedding was a couple of months ago, but I don't mind cleaning up and getting all nice every now and then. Rio says, I've been struggling with ADHD and PTSD for years. It's been hell for me, but then I got introduced to psychedelics and the perception of being outside one's body. It enhanced my insight towards creativity and come to terms with my own spirituality. Okay, cool. So what microdosing, there's actually some evidence that shows that psilocybin, can actually help out in the world of psychiatry. So you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. So Ebony says her father, his mom, and my brother have it. Well, Ebony, ADHD is a family thing, so it runs in families. So not to say that you have it, but it runs in families. I do believe that a couple of other people in my family have it, but I'm the only one who has it. Went to a doctor, and I think that's saying something because I'm not gonna go into my family's business, but somebody had to go out there and go to a doctor and figure out what's going on, why I keep losing keys, why I rush so fast in relationships, why I impulsively spend money, and then after that I don't spend money for a couple of months because I over budgeted or I spent over the budget, why I lose my keys all the time. Look, speaking of ADHD, Mr. Happy Forever, 1 second. I mean, this is something that dominates my life. I got a ticket this morning for speeding, and I don't think I was speeding, but the LAPD said I was speeding, right? So it really does dominate our life, right? And we're talking about undiagnosed ADHD. And unfortunately for me, I'm diagnosed, and a lot of people who are here are diagnosed. So once you're diagnosed, you're able to put yourself in a position where you can get some help, which is the most important thing. But with undiagnosed ADHD, there's a good chance that you don't have medications, right? So if you're out here raw dogging life without meds and you have ADHD, you know how difficult it can be to do anything, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And let me go back to that comment. I just received my ADHD diagnosis 4 months ago at 28 years old. Crazy how much about myself suddenly made sense before I thought I was just super neurotic. No, something is going on. And now that you know, you don't have to feel so bad about yourself. I was diagnosed as a kid, so I knew I had it, but they didn't tell us back in the 80s what it meant. Jessica, I'm curious because I'm a young bat. I wasn't alive in the 80s. So I was born in 92. So I want to know in the 80s, if you're 80s kid, or if you were alive in the 80s and you had ADHD, what did they call it back then? What did the doctors say? I'm curious to hear you all's perspective. I'm claiming my ADHD is going to be a positive in my new promotion. I'm the new sales manager, but my official title is firefighter because people bring me problems to solve. So I have to be able to jump from task to task randomly. No, Misty, it looks like that's a superpower for you. My wife has it undiagnosed. The struggle is real. The struggle is very real. But as we can see in your profile picture, y'all are happy and vibing. But it can make life difficult. But please be patient on her. On behalf of the whole ADHD community, please be patient with your wife. Emily says, you sound like me. Maybe I do have it. What was the relatable part? Was it the impulsively spending money, rushing into relationships, and then feeling like you're trapped and you're like, all right, I have to get out of here, or being late to things, forgetting things, speeding? Which part was the relatable part? Emily, what's going on? How are you doing? How are you doing, Emily? Welcome back to the stream. Brooke said, the first time I took Adderall as an adult, I was driving my kids to school and my thoughts were silent and mind-blowing. I cried because I didn't realize how fast my brain was going all the time. Brooke, another love of the show right there. And you know why I used to love the show? Because I think I mentioned this before, but I've had grown men like cry in the office, and like I'm 6'3", 215, so like I'm a relatively big guy, but I've had grown men bigger than me, big guys, cry and break down in the office, after coming back and telling me how their medications were for them. Like we went through the whole thing, psych eval, I diagnosed ADHD, boom, boom, boom. They go home, take the meds, and they come back. And I've seen grown men break down, and say things like, I didn't know that this is what was going on my whole life, and I can finally focus for the first time in my life. And I'm even getting goosebumps thinking about it now, because if you have taken stimulants before, like legally, not like on a college campus, but like if you've taken it before, and it quieted your brain, then it's mind blowing. You think to yourself like, oh, I lived 34 years of my life without this. It's an experience. Let's just say that it's an experience. It's my life. Nicole, I don't remember speeding this morning, but they pulled me over, and yeah, I take it. I'll worry about that later, but it's not going to stop my joy for today. Charmaine, very sorry to hear that. And with ADHD, I do believe that you feel things sometimes a bit more intense. But I will say that there's no timeline for grief. So don't feel like there's pressure to feel like you have to get over this situation. Please just keep that in mind. Raw dog in life, Nicole. Some of us have been raw dog in life, and it's only by the grace of God or whoever people believe in that we're still out here thugging. Off meds every month to just have a week of brain freedom. Oh, so Kim, let me talk about this real quick. This is actually something that we tend to do a lot with kids, right? With school age kids, let's say they're taking their meds, and during the summer they want to just be free and have a couple of months of brain freedom. We do this, and a lot of times it helps the meds be more effective when you go back to it. And actually, Nicky Ficky, I don't know why we never talked about this. But this is one of the cooler things about like ADHD meds, or where we can actually do this. We can actually put somebody on meds for a while and stop. Of course, this is done under the supervision of a licensed clinician, right? But this is what I do personally. I've done this, and whatever I do, like I know it doesn't, y'all don't even care or whatever. But this is how my experience has been. Get diagnosed, been on meds, off on. And that's the cool thing about ADHD. We can actually do that. Let's say you have schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. It's kind of difficult. I mean, in theory, it's difficult to just stop your lithium, like with your doctor's help, and then go back on it, and then stop it again, and then, or Lamictal, right? You have to titrate it all up. It's really hard to do that with certain meds. But with the stimulants, I think that's one of the positives, right? If you have ADHD, like it's not going to, more than likely, it's not going anywhere. So for the 50 people in this stream, like we have to come up with a solution. Like this is the group chat to figure out how we're going to live with this condition. Born in the 80s, went to school in the 90s. It was ADD and ADHD when I was in school. Yeah, I figured that. All limbs of yoga. Okay. I appreciate you. Thank you, Justin Fox. I appreciate you. Ebony said yes, all those. Well, Ebony, it might be time to maybe go get checked out. Just before I turned 50, I went to the doctor to talk about my undiagnosed ADHD, and I got told by the doctor that maybe I was just disorganized, which is now put me off to go to another doctor. Also, Caroline, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Keep in mind that a lot of doctors and a lot of providers and prescribers don't know much about ADHD, honestly. So a lot of times, women with ADHD are misdiagnosed and not given the proper diagnosis, and some never get the right diagnosis. And if you've lived 5 decades and you haven't had the right help, I would call that a tragedy in a sense. But once you're able to get the help, all we have is the time in front of us, and we're going to try and do the best that we can moving forward. But it does suck that some doctors just don't know. It sucks. How closely do you think ADD, ADHD is to CPTSD? So I'll probably say I'll probably call them cousins, first cousins, not second cousins, like first cousins, right? Like we know that second and third cousins, you can't, like theoretically, you can't marry your third cousin. Um, you know, I'll leave that joke right there. I won't keep pushing that, but I would say that they're cousins. You know, ADHD is very very much so linked with trauma and depression and anxiety. In fact, we could make an argument that ADHD and PTSD are siblings because for the woman above, what's her name, Caroline, right? If you go 5 decades and you're like, all right, I feel like something is up, but I don't know what it is, and everybody keeps disregarding it. When I say everybody, I'm talking about licensed doctors and nurses and social workers and psychologists. Then you're gonna feel like you're gaslighting yourself, right? And that whole experience, I don't know how to call anything else other than traumatic, potentially. So ADHD, actually, I changed my mind. I will call them siblings. They're pretty closely related. They're pretty closely related. Chloe, I'm gonna take my Apple Watch. I'm gonna throw this at you. You're ridiculous. Hey, Chloe, I'll see you in town, bro. My brother's gonna touch down to LA tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Michelle said, I cried because I didn't know how to be without my mind going 100 miles a minute. Ultimately, the reason I stopped taking medication. So, Michelle, I've also heard these stories before too. But when you first take meds and you realize that, okay, I can get help for this, it's a pretty cool thing, right? Do different ADHD meds affect people differently? I asked because the pharmacy mixed mine up for another one, and my reaction to it was, well, I felt like I could see colors. See colors? You could see colors. Like seeing things that are not there. So Nicole, I'm a little bit lost towards the end of that, but I will say that like keep in mind, like Adderall, for example, is mixed amphetamine salts, right? The way that they make these meds, you can get like a batch of, let's just say Adderall, because we're talking about that. You can get a batch of Adderall in June, and then you go back for your supply in July, and they could be like slightly different, and then one could work better than the other. So that type of thing does happen. So don't feel like you're losing your mind. Let me let my dad know I'm on Facebook. Hey, Dad, how you doing? Yeah, I'm on Facebook live stream, but can I call you back afterwards? Okay. Potentially, but I'll call you back in 20 if you're still there. Okay. All right. Love you, Dad. All right. All right. So born in '89, they call it ADD, and just said if I took Ritalin, I focus in the class and it will go away. Who said it would go away? They basically said it just meant I couldn't focus in class. Hearing as an adult about executive function issues and memory issues and sleep issues. Right, Jessica. So I think one thing we've learned in the past, just even 5 years, honestly, is that it's not just, I can't focus in class. Like it cuts deeper than that. It's I can't focus in class, so I didn't get the best grades. Okay, cool. So I went to a school that I didn't want to go to because I didn't get the best grades. All right. Then I went to college and I got in a relationship and it didn't go well because, I had issues because of my diagnosis that I didn't know about. Because of that, it left me with more trauma. So I went to another relationship, took my baggage to another relationship, and it didn't go well, right? So now I have more trauma, and now I'm scared of love because I've messed up the past two relationships, or they're messed up partly because of how I was. Then it affects my confidence. And as I go into work, I'm struggling at work because my confidence is not where it is because I feel like I've underachieved. And on top of that, I keep showing up to work late. If I keep showing up to work late, they're going to fire me. On top of that, I'm behind on all this extra stuff because I can't organize my thoughts. I don't know what's priority. So I do all these different things that, I do things that I have to do, but I don't do the priority task first. So now I'm too burnt out to do the most important thing. So because I can't do that, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing because I feel helpless and hopeless. And you take that cycle, you repeat it the next day, and you just keep going, right? And that's much more than I can't focus in class, right? So it's important to really talk about it. Margaret, I'm so happy that you're here as well. I'm so happy that you're here. Ricky said they misdiagnosed me with ADHD. It turned out to be anxiety. I see that a lot. Untreated ADHD and kids leading to ODD. So Bonnie, that could be a thing. That could be a thing, but I don't. I hate to say I don't believe in ODD as a diagnosis, but I don't believe in ODD. Not that I don't believe in it, but I've just always kind of questioned that diagnosis. Honestly, I've always questioned it because I'll, when I'm writing scripts here in LA, I'm making some content. I'll just go to a park and just observe people as I write their ideas. And I've seen how these middle schoolers act. Like these kids are very mean to each other sometimes, and they call it just joking around, right? So can't just look at the kid and say they have ODD because if whatever happens. So I'm not sure if I believe in. I can't say that, but it's not my favorite thing. I've never diagnosed anybody with ODD ever in my life. 11-year-old diagnosed ADHD, prescribed Vyvanse, first week, tired and sleeping all like her. Dose too high or too low? Well, actually, a million things could be going on. So the right answer is you got to talk to your doctor. But it could be, I'm taking my meds and then, I focus at school. But when I come home, I'm super tired, because the come down from these meds can make people really tired. So that could be one thing. Or maybe, it could be either way. The dose could be high, the dose could be low, but a couple of different things could be happening. But talking to her, and asking her, hey, like what other issues are going on? Like what is fifth grade like? What is sixth grade like? Is she on any other medications? It's complicated. So for me, when I hear that, I'm like, it sounds like a come down from meds, but obviously, like we're talking here as friends, so I can't specifically, I don't know the real answer here, but the come down can be pretty, it can be pretty rough. I know that I'm talking from my personal experience. And let me see, my partner and I are undiagnosed ADHD. We both have the ADHD cleaning spurts. At least the house is always clean. So that's a plus. That's a plus right there. Because cleaning is a whole job. Cleaning is a job. Let me click a couple of comments. Let me see. Work from home with ADHD. Oh my goodness. Is it Kashaya or Keisha? Look, working from home with ADHD can be quite difficult, right? Because when you're in the office, like you have to get to the office, and like when you're in the office, we're not wearing Nike apparel, like we're dressed up in scrubs or like suit or whatever, depending on where you work at, but when you're home, you're wearing flip-flops, you're in between an episode of Stranger Things, and then you're working on your laptop, and then with ADHD you lose track of time. It's I think for those of us who have ADHD, we really realized how difficult work from home is, and if you're somebody who, let's say you have kids who, have done online school during the pandemic, or you yourself, maybe you have done online college coursework, and you have ADHD, you'll see how difficult that is. It's not easy at all. It's not easy at all. It's very, very difficult. There's going to be a lot of comments. I'm trying to get to all of them. I'm just reading up and down all over the place. But I'll say if your daughter has ADHD and autism, the best thing you can do to help her out is really just listen. I think that's the best thing, right? Listen to her, what she needs. If she tells you that, the music is too loud, she really means that the music is too loud. Like if she's like, oh, grandma, like, can you cut the music down a little bit? Like she means that. If she's like, oh, the light's a little bit bright, she means that, right? The sensory difficulties, right? If she has a way of doing things, if as long as she's getting things done, maybe like help her make like small changes, especially when somebody's autistic. Changes in routine can really throw them off. So pretty much just listening to what she needs, and also we have to know the difference between a want and a need, right? A want is something that we'd like to have, but it's not. We don't need it. But if you're neurodivergent, certain things that might look like wants to other people will be like a need for you, right? Like if you're saying, hey, can you just dim the lights down a little bit? It's kind of bright. Like somebody might say, oh, you want it to be dim. I don't want. No, that person, they need you to just dim the lights. You can argue about it, or you can just dim the lights. It's small things like that that go a long way. Let me see. Losing keys, always late, rushing to relationships, all of the above. I love how. Oh yeah, no, Ebony, I do all of those things. I do all of those things. I lose my keys, and I'm like, why didn't I get the what's the little air tag that you put on it? I'm always late, and I'm like, why didn't I just leave the house earlier? Rushing into relationships, I do that, and like I'll really sit there, and this is cool because I get to tell myself, but I feel like it helps people too. I'll really sit there and I'll be talking to God. Like I'll be bargaining with God. I'll say, God, like I really like this woman. I think she's really cute. Like, let this girl please like like me back. I want this to be my next girlfriend. Like, please God, help me out. And then, what do you know it? She gives me her number. One thing leads to another. 3 weeks later, I'm like, I have to find a way to disappear from this earth without this girl knowing, because like I woke up one day and I'm like, we got way too serious. Like things just went way too fast. But after the hyperfixation is over, I'm like, oh, I feel so bad because not that you plan to play with somebody's feelings, but it's like I just didn't know how I felt about the situation. Now I was just going 100 miles per hour. So you learn with pattern recognition, like, okay, I don't feel proud of the person that I am when I do X, Y, and Z. So how can I stop these things, right? And somebody out there is probably saying, oh, just avoid relationships. All right, that works, right? But we have to have a more practical way to kind of like go through life, And I had a good crowd today. Hey, Mark, hey, sometimes I love the show to you. Sometimes you just gotta let it out. Just let it out. Just let it out. Let it out. Let it out. And hey, Dr. Ajapong, thank you for coming through. I really appreciate you coming through from LinkedIn. Certain things that look like wants to make people will be needs for the no, it's true, and that's a bar. I didn't even think about that when I said it, but I'm just thinking about myself. Like certain things that I've asked for, whether I'm talking to my parents, whether I'm talking to a partner or a friend. Sometimes I'll request something that seems like a small thing, but inside I'm like, please, 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 like, I'm telling the server, please bring back plastic forks for me instead of, like, it's a small thing, but like it means a lot to us, right? Monica, anytime, no problem. I'm happy I caught it. Do you see a correlation between ADHD and bipolar in families? At least in my personal experience, there's a link there. I've seen a link before. I don't know how strong it is, but I would call ADHD and bipolar, I would call them cousins. I would definitely call them cousins. Not quite siblings, because there's no mania in ADHD, but sometimes it's hard to sleep at night. Sometimes you have the racing thoughts. You have the impulsive decision making. So yeah, I would call ADHD and bipolar like cousins, but like this is the cousin that when you go to the house for Thanksgiving, when they come to your house for Thanksgiving, you're extremely excited. It's like a cousin who is basically a sibling, right? Just that you live in Georgia and they live in Tennessee. But ADHD and bipolar, definitely cousins. I would definitely call them cousins. Natasia, we're just having a convo. We're just having a convo. And yes, Kendra's one of the Kendra and Leilani are the moderators. So when they put comments in here, like they know what they're talking about. Rachel says horrible, horrible cousins. Rachel, you're right. You're right. At the end of the day, if I could choose to not have ADHD, I would do that, right? If people could choose not to have bipolar disorder, they would do that. I do believe. So yeah, no, it's not. Yeah. Can untreated ADHD lead to other disorders like bipolar or schizophrenia? Kobe, good question. Good question. I would not. To my knowledge, I don't think so. Keep in mind, I don't know everything, but when you're talking about bipolar or schizophrenia, there's a strong genetic link with those, like it is with ADHD. But when somebody has schizophrenia, like if I have a patient with schizophrenia, I'm trying to look through like their history to see if their family members have it. Normally, they do have it, and then same thing with bipolar. When I'm looking through the history, there's normally a first degree relative with the condition as well. But I don't believe that there's like a real strong linear link between ADHD being untreated leading to bipolar or schizophrenia. If anything, maybe untreated ADHD, we know that it leads to substance use a lot of times, right? And with substance use, let's say you smoke something, right? We don't know what it is. Let's say you smoke something and it causes a psychotic break. That can look like schizophrenia, right? But you go to the psych hospital, they take care of you, and after you're all good to go back home, hopefully, you don't have anything lingering from that. And then that's like a substance-induced psychosis. It's not really like, oh, this person had schizophrenia. They just smoked something or, took something in and they were hearing voices. But I don't think untreated ADHD leads directly to bipolar or schizophrenia. That's a good question, though. That's a really good question. That's a good question. I used to take Clonidine and Excedrin and Ritalin when I was a kid for ADHD. I just stopped taking the medicine when I was a kid. Any tips being older and possibly having anxiety? Anxiety about what? About taking the medication, or if it's about taking the meds, that's a normal thing. Anytime you introduce anything into your body and you've not taken that thing before, or it's been a while, like it's normal to see how you would be a bit apprehensive. And ADHD and anxiety are siblings; they're very closely related. A lot of times you'll have one or the other, and somebody might diagnose you with the other one. You know, so good question right there. Also we are at the 30-minute mark, so it's time for the water break. So if somebody dropped the magic word in there, and then we'll get that water break in. I'm definitely a bit underhydrated. I realized that at the gym. I was doing some crutches, and I started to I have cramps. I had a toe cramp. I, I've never had a toe cramp before, but that means that I need some water. I'm back at open mic playing music in my happy place. Emily, that's what's up. I love open mics and creative stuff. I did a comedy show last week. I have a comedy show this Friday night in LA, and I'll go to a couple open mics this week. Like that's and also let me just mention this, especially for those of us who are neurodivergent, is very very important. I've said it before, and we'll get to this water break, but you have to chase your passions. If you like doing something, even if you can spend like 5-10 minutes a week or a day doing it, it's very important that we do those things. Very important. Cheers. There we go. Cheers. All right, y'all. I got some spicy water today. I know Kendra knows about that. I got some spicy water. All right, y'all. Big cheers. You can only drink so much at once when it's sparkling water. They're spicy. I like that. I like that. Natasha, take care. Thank you so much. All right. And Kobe says, I only ask because no one has a history of schizophrenia in my family that I know about. Bipolar is both parents. Yeah, I'm schizoaffective bipolar type with ADHD. I feel like it was really mistreated growing up. Yeah. And look, Kobe, a lot of people that I know who are in the profession don't know much about schizoaffective disorder. I'll just say that. That's what I realized. And the reason why I know about schizoaffective is because I worked in forensic psychiatry. That was my first big boy job. And I've been in the forensic setting for like 5 years total. So I've seen a lot of schizoaffective schizophrenia. And I will say that I do think schizophrenia and bipolar disorder are siblings. They're quite closely related. New life. Hey. This is our tribe right here. This is our online family. We have to make it a family, come together, let's learn from each other. Let's support for anxiety, depression, definitely helps calm things down. And Kendra, thank you for sharing. And that's one cool thing about antidepressants that we don't talk about a lot. They can be used for a lot of different things: anxiety, depression, premature ejaculation. I know that doesn't apply to Kendra, but like they're quite versatile. So it's always good to talk to your provider and see what options you have. Bipolar and ADHD are definitely cousins. For my parents, bipolar, the other parents are recovering alcoholic. Yeah, no, they're definitely cousins. They're definitely cousins. Let me see. Oh, let me answer this real quick. So, Ashley, when I had a dietitian first met her 2 years ago, red dye is something that there's evidence that shows that that's not the best thing for kids with ADHD. Processed foods as well. I knew that too. I just, I can't cook. So whenever I don't have a girlfriend, it's so much easier to just run to Ralph's or Kroger and get like microwavable food, throw it in there and eat it. But I don't do that anymore. I don't eat processed foods. I cut out sugars. I cut out synthetic dyes. And that's made me feel a lot better. I will say that. Sugary drinks, sodas, pretty much whatever is at the grocery store that's like brightly colored, the stuff that the kids want. Sometimes that's the indicator that we may want to avoid that. Cheryl, thank you for sharing it. And I mean, I wish we had this education back in the day, but that it's up to us. It really is up to us to change things. So here's my thing with kids and electronics. So the Surgeon General, let me see. Oh, I gotta get back to my dad. Okay, all right. So I'll answer this, and then I gotta get off, and I may be able to come on live stream tomorrow. Because I like this. I like the setup right here. This looks really good. This makes me want to go live more. So I like the setup. But let me answer this real quick. So this was the Surgeon General. Yeah, he came out and he was talking about social media for kids and saying that it's it can be detrimental, X, Y, and Z. I agree with all of that. But I knew that 3 years ago. And I'm just waiting for the conversation in the White House to change towards. They're doing a good job right now, but I can't wait for the conversation to switch to, okay, social media is not going anywhere. This phone is not going anywhere. So how do we teach kids how to use the internet properly? Like, it's just not going anywhere. And I don't have any kids, so I'm empathetic to the fact that there's people out there with kids who are scrambling for answers. And we're all just trying to do the best that we can. I'll say that there's nothing wrong with being on an iPad, right? It's cool, but it's probably best to limit screen time. I do that for myself. After like 2 hours, I'm like, all right, Kojo, no more TikTok, no more Instagram. Let's sit here and read a book. Let's play guitar. So I use it. I make videos all the time for you all. I spent 5 hours today recording, but I put myself on a pitch count. Personally, I don't allow myself to go over 2 hours every day on social media. Sometimes I do go over, but I track that very closely. I just don't think it's helpful to be on the video for too much, right? But if a kid has an iPad, like I would rather, if it's my child, I would rather let them use the iPad, see what they're on, parental guideline, all that stuff is going to be on if I have a kid. But I would definitely want to teach my kid how to use the internet and how to go about it. I'd rather teach them than to go online and see something else, All right. All right. Okay. Before I leave, I do want to mention that we have a Discord online community. I have not been as present on there, but I do want to be more present on the Discord. So we have a Discord there. And also, like Kendra is saying, the best way to get help directly is to really schedule an appointment with a licensed mental health professional. If we're talking about ADHD for a diagnostic evaluation. And let me mention this too before we end. If you're asking me, right, let's say you're watching this live stream and you're like, all right, I've been listening to Kojo speak for a little bit and I feel like I have these things. What do I do? I would go type in psychiatrist near me. I would use those 3 terms, right? Just hear me out. Psychiatrist near me. And this is what you're looking for. You're looking for a psychiatric provider. So that's a psychiatrist, a psychiatric nurse practitioner, or a psychiatric physician assistant, right? I'm looking for one of those 3 guys or girls. I'm going to try and make an appointment with them. Sometimes it's not in network and you have to wait for so many months. I hate that. But whenever you're able to make an appointment with them, there's this thing that we call a psychiatric evaluation where we're going to ask you all these questions. We'll talk about ADHD and, things of that nature, but we're going to ask all questions, right? And then as we go through that list and we ask our questions, we can come up with a diagnosis. And then once we have a diagnosis, we can treat what's going on because we have to know what's going on first. And that's really the best way to get help. So I definitely want to include that in there for the people who are watching live or for the folks who watch the live stream on the back end. So I got to mention that. So let me see this real quick. Is diagnosis denial a thing? No, I don't know if you would call it diagnosis denial, but this is how I am almost every day in my life. Like I don't live life thinking to myself, Nicole, I'm not like, oh, I have ADHD. Like I just live life as a regular Mickey Ficky, and I just do my thing. It's not until something happens like this morning where I get a speeding ticket, and I'm like, all right, well, okay, maybe I was speeding. All right, oh, okay. Did I take my meds this morning? Stuff like that. That's why I'm like, all right, I might have ADHD, even though I know I do have it, right? So I don't know if you would call it diagnosis denial, but I know what you're talking about. So Kobe, yes, thank you. I'm about to call my dad right now. And this is where I remember that I have ADHD because it's very much like me to get up the live stream. I know I gotta call my dad, right? But then I go look outside. I'm like, oh, the trees. My dad's waiting on the call right now. So Kobe, I appreciate you. Man. All right, and Stephanie, somebody drop this in the Discord before I go, because I'm actually working on ways to manage my time. So I think a live stream where we talk about this could be very beneficial. So Stephanie, I appreciate you. Margaret, Angie, Nicole, Rachel, Cheryl, Kobe, Kendra, everybody, I appreciate y'all. Ricky, I appreciate y'all. and I'll see you on the next live stream. We'll discuss the next live stream in the Discord, but I'm thinking we can do it tomorrow. So, all right, I gotta call my dad, y'all, but I love y'all, and I'll see y'all soon. Definitely this week. Take care.